Alright, welcome back to Rodney Stewart Reviews. We're doing more horror in this episode, and you could say I'm getting damn lazy in my old age of sharing pre-recorded content, but it is what it is. I've got a podcast completely separate from this channel, and audio goodness. And if you're into horror and that sort of thing, it is the podcast for you. So it's worth checking it out independently from this channel. But throughout October time here, we're going to be sharing some episodes from that podcast to celebrate all things spooky and creepy. And one of the classics for me is the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So we're going to be doing those back to back, sharing them on this channel. Just so you can hear what the podcast is like, and if you're interested, go follow it. So we are on to Freddy's Revenge, and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, in this episode. So as per usual in this little swift series for October time, I'm going to jump off camera now and let you enjoy the audio goodness. And check out Hellmouth Hotline. Should be uploading 3 times a week if I can be bothered. So that is what it is. Check out Freddy's Revenge. Hey guys, welcome along to a new episode of Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. We're getting into some more Nightmare on Elm Street in this episode with the follow-up to the original Nightmare on Elm Street. This is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. So guys, I think with Freddy's Revenge, I don't know if it's just me, but this just feels a little bit out of place, this movie. Of course, it's Freddy Krueger, it's a follow-up. They don't want to do the exact same thing over again, but there's just something strange about this film that just, I personally, when I sit down and watch all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, for some reason, Freddy's Revenge just feels slightly out of place compared to the rest of them. Now, I don't know if it's the whole possession side of things, but it is what it is. But, even when I was doing my research right here, it was saying Freddy's Revenge was released November 1st, 1985. It grossed 30 million at the domestic box office on a budget of 3 million. It received mixed reviews from critics upon release, with many comparing it unfavourably to its predecessor. And in all honesty, I do think the original movie was a heck of a lot stronger than this one. But, it is what it is. You're either going to love Freddy Krueger movies or absolutely hate them. There's very few cases I think you're going to be in the middle ground here. You'll either love it or hate it. But I'm one of these guys that just isn't slightly in that middle ground sort of thing. I enjoyed the movie, not quite as much as the first one, but it was good to see Freddy Krueger back and getting to see Robert Englund out of the makeup at the beginning of the movie. If you look closely, the bus at the very beginning, it's a nightmare sequence, of course, which is, that sequence alone with the bus perched on top of this giant canyon hell sort of a landscape at one point at the beginning of the movie. If you look closely, it's actually Freddy Krueger that's driving the bus the whole time, and it's Robert Englund without the Freddy Krueger makeup on. And honestly, Robert Englund without the makeup on, he is the least scariest person on the face of the planet. It's crazy that he is such an icon in the horror industry. Like, if you've seen him without the makeup, it's just like, this guy couldn't scare anyone. But that sequence of the bus at the beginning of the movie, very, very iconic. Alright, let's get into the plot. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm still trying to get over the cold here slightly. The plot is 5 years after Freddy Krueger's apparent defeat, A family, the Walshes, have moved into Nancy Thompson's former home. Their teenage son, Jesse, has a nightmare about being stalked by Krueger driving a school bus, which we just spoke about there. He wakes up and attributes the dream to the unusual heat in the bedroom. Jesse goes to school with his friend Lisa, whom he is interested in romantically, but is too shy to flirt with her. After getting into a fight with a boy named Grady during the gym class, Coach Schneider has them stay after class and they become friends. I can relate to that there. There's quite a few guys that I got more friendly with after we kicked 7 shades of shite out of each other in school and got put into detention. And this was early school. This was like primary school back in the day. And yeah. Anyway, Coach Schneider keeps him after class, makes him do press ups until he just decides, alright guys, have to shower. They could be there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, couple hours. He's a nasty piece of work, this guy, and he has a bit of a, as Grady says, he gets his rocks off doing this sort of thing. And yes, this happens to them quite a few times throughout the run of the movie. Lisa comes to visit Jesse after school, and they discover Nancy Thompson's diary is still in the house, and it's detailing her nightmares that she had in the first movie. So you're kind of, through this diary, you're getting a bit of a flashback to the original Nightmare on Elm Street and what happened to her. And everything in the book, it's strikingly similar to Jesse's dreams. Small fires happen around the house, which culminates in a spontaneous combustion of their pet birds. Jesse's father actually accuses him of using a cherry bomb and blowing up the bird. But there's a part in the movie where the toaster catches fire in the kitchen, and the father, he's like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like it's not even plugged in. But they are the clueless parents. It's a trope of these old movies. The following night, Jesse has a nightmare where he encounters Freddy, who tells him to kill for him. So it's a weird thing where Freddy gets into the real world in this movie through kind of possessing the body of Jesse. He's the man that Jesse kills for him. The dreams grow more intense, and Jesse unsuccessfully attempts different measures to keep himself awake. He's on to the caffeine pills, just the same way Nancy did in the first film, and he's trying to keep himself awake. He eventually begins wandering the streets at night. One night he is caught by Schneider, the PE teacher at school. He gets into a club and he's ordering a drink in a gay bar, and Schneider catches him in there, and he's made to run laps at school as punishment. Now, the thing that Nightmare on Elm Street was good at, and this movie as well, is blending the lines between the dream world and reality. And this whole sequence where Jesse's wandering the streets, goes to the gay bar, orders a beer, gets caught by the teacher, taken to the school to run laps as punishment. It's kind of hard to determine whether this is all in a dream or it's in reality. It's just the lines blur that much between it. I want to say it's all in reality, but it's kind of, that's what they're good at, these earlier Nightmare on Elm Street movies, is that little, just left you feeling a little bit unsettled because you didn't know at times where you were at in the movie as far as dreams in the real world went. After sending Jesse to the showers, Snyder is attacked by an unseen force, and it drags him to the showers, and that sequence is great as well. It's like two skipping ropes tie themselves around Schneider's wrists and drag him down the hall, and it's similar to the first movie where the dream sequence where the body bag was getting dragged down the hallway. It's done exactly the same way. All practical, looks great, and Schneider is brought into the showers, and
he's tied up to the showers with the skipping ropes, and then the towels start flying off this stand on their own, and of course starts wheeling them in the ass, like the way we all did it. Kids at school, and you were in the showers and you roll up your towel and you whoosh, just whack somebody in the ass with it. We all did it at a time, and in the right circumstance, even now at 42, I would still do it to someone. But yes, it's little pieces of dark humour they got that really started to come to the forefront the further we went through the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. But Snyder is trapped, tied to the showers with these skipping ropes. He looks over his shoulder and he sees Jesse standing in the showers. He's in there getting cleaned up and washed. Jesse vanishes into the steam, and Freddy emerges, and of course he's got the glove on, and he kills Snyder by slashing his back twice. And then we cut over to Jesse standing there instead of Freddy, and of course he lifts his hand up and he's actually wearing the glove, and he freaks out, runs, and he's caught by the police. He's walking the streets naked. He's escorted home by the police, and his parents begin to suspect that Jesse may be on drugs or mentally disturbed. So good old Lisa, she takes Jesse to an abandoned factory where Freddy Krueger worked, and they find nothing there. She's doing reading on Freddy Krueger, and we start to get the backstory once again of Freddy. He kidnapped 20 kids, brought them to this factory, killed them. It's not as in depth as the description we got in the first movie, but we don't need that. We've already seen that in the first one. But it's just these new kids finding out the background of Freddy. The following night, Jesse goes to Lisa's pool party and he kisses her in the cabana. But just prior to that, and between those two sequences, he's possessed by Freddy, essentially, and Freddy actually gets him to go to his little sister's bedroom in the hopes that he might kill her. But the camera is like a point of view of someone walking through the house. They come up from the boiler in the basement, up the stairs into the bedroom, and you hear Freddy's voice, "Wake up, little girl." And the little girl wakes up and she's like, "What time is it?" And the camera pans around and it's actually Jesse, and he's like, "It's late, go back to sleep." And with his left hand he lifts the covers to tuck her on slightly, and then his right hand comes up and he's wearing the Freddy glove. So again, freaking out, he doesn't know what to do. But the following night he goes to Lisa's pool party. He kisses her in the cabana, but his body begins to change, and he's on the floor. They're making out. They're just about to have sex, essentially, and he's kissing her down her chest, between her breasts and down to her stomach, and then this huge demon tongue comes out of his mouth. He freaks out, gets up, leaves. He goes to Grady's house, confesses to killing Snyder, and instructs Grady to watch him as he sleeps and stop him if he tries to leave. When Grady eventually falls asleep, Freddy emerges from Jesse's body and kills Grady. Now that sequence is flipping fantastic. You see it in the trailer for the movie. I'm sorry for coughing in your ear there, guys. You see it in the trailer. You see this hand and the blades of Freddy's glove starts coming out of the tips of the fingers, and the flesh in the arm starts to break apart, and you see the hoodies. You see Freddy's striped jumper inside the flesh of the arm. And then you see the outline of the head, Freddy's head, and the chest cavity and stomach of Jesse, and he's pressing out towards it, trying to get out, and actually uses the glove to slit the stomach open, and then Freddy emerges into the bedroom. Just Jesse's body just disintegrates, essentially. For practical effects, it was really, really good. Such a good sequence in the movie. Where are we at in the notes here? Yes, he kills Grady, and of course the camera pans away from Grady's dead body as he falls to the floor. Once again, instead of Freddy standing there, we see Jesse standing there, and Jesse looks in the mirror and he sees the reflection of Freddy, and Freddy's laughing at him. And it's again, it's blurring the lines between reality and dreams. It's you really don't know where you're standing at times within this movie. Yes, I just was going to say exactly the same thing that I just said there. I need to keep a better note of where I'm at on my notes here. Jesse freaks out. Grady's father and mother, they're battering the bedroom door trying to get in. You hear police sirens start to come. He flees before Grady's parents enter the room, and he returns to Lisa's house. And Jesse tells her what's going on. He's covered in blood. Lisa realizes that Jesse's terror is giving Freddy his strength. She's read the book, The Diary of Nancy's. She knows from the end of the diary how Nancy defeated Freddy Krueger at the end of the first nightmare in Elm Street. And she's trying to get Jesse to be like, don't be afraid of him. It's your fear is creating him. If you're not scared of him, he can't hurt you. But Grady can't stop being scared of him, and he transforms again into Freddy Krueger. So Freddy is out in the real world, and he uses his powers to lock Lisa's parents in their bedroom, attacks Lisa, and realizes he cannot harm her due to Jesse's influence. That's the interesting thing about the defeat of Freddy Krueger in this movie. It's he's pure evil, but Jesse is in love with this girl Lisa. So whenever Freddy goes after her, it's the power of love that starts to defeat Freddy Krueger in this movie. Eventually he goes outside where he begins to slaughter the party goers. The sequence at the party and Freddy going after them is pretty well done. And when he eventually leaves the party after Lisa's father emerges with a shotgun and fires at him, but Lisa stops him from shooting Freddy, he escapes in a ball of flames. He walks across the party, people are jumping out of his way, and he walks towards this fence, and just as he walks into the fence, it catches fire. It's so well done. Such a simple effect. It's simply just changing from one clip to the other. It's just a very quick in-camera trick. It's just so well timed, so well done. That's awesome. I love that part of the movie. Lisa drives to the factory looking to see if she can find him, but facing suddenly nightmares and having no control over her fear before confronting Freddy. So there's parts she's walking into this abandoned factory they were at earlier in the movie, and she comes across these two guard dogs, but they've got like human faces on them. And then she comes across like a rat, and it's like a demon sort of screaming at them. This cat appears out of nowhere, kills the demon rat, and it's like all demonized up as well. And it's like reality and the dream world are kind of mixing throughout each other. And there's a part where she's actually walking across one of the catwalks, and the floor gives way below her, and she grabs hold of the handrail before she falls down. But then she looks down, and the floor is still there, and she's actually sitting kind of on her side, holding on to the top of the rail. So it's it's just the nightmare world is kind of hitting reality in a big way. She eventually confronts Freddy, and she pleads with Jesse to fight Freddy once again, but Freddy's hold is too strong, and he's like, Jesse's dead, he's mine now, and I'm going to be here forever, sort of thing. When Lisa confesses her love for Jesse, you can see Freddy's power starting to fade, and like he actually starts to bleed whenever she says this to him. And for a second she's going to run again, But she realises what's happening here and how she can defeat Freddy, and she actually takes Freddy's hat off and kisses him, and Jesse begins to fight back at this point. Freddy combusts, the whole place catches fire again. Freddy goes up again, as I said in the Nightmare on Elm Street review. Robert Englund made his name, if memory serves right, being a stuntman in Hollywood, and he specialised in been setting fire from head to toe. So you seen that at the end of the first movie where he was running about the basement in Nancy's house in flames. That was actually him doing that himself, and you do get a part of that in this movie again, but it's more camera angles than anything else at this point, because I think the directors wanted more of being able to see Freddy's face and his reactions. So it was more Robert Englund as Freddy acting what he was going through in the scene, and kind of flames in the forefront of him and on the bars behind him and whatnot. So there's sequences in it where he's not actually on fire, but there's other sequences where he is on fire in it. So Freddy combusts, basically turns to ash, and the fire starts to disappear on its own, going out, and you see this charred figure lying on the floor, and then it starts to move, and of course it's Jesse, and he starts pulling off the outer shell essentially, and you see his face in below it, and Lisa goes over and they kind of hug it out at the end of the movie. Later, as Jesse, Lisa and Lisa's friend Carrie are taking the bus to school, at the end of the movie finishes off exactly the same way it started out, with the nightmare sequence in the bus. Jesse begins to notice similarities to the original Nightmare, and he panics. This bus is going too quick. But after Lisa calms Jesse down, Carrie leans over the top of the chair, and she says that it's all over. Don't worry about it. Just as she says that, well, it's not exactly what she says, but it's all over. Calm down, sort of deal. And just as she says that, Freddy's clawed arm busts through her chest, and then we see the bus driving out into the desert the way it did at the beginning of the movie, and Freddy laughs, just as in Jesse's first nightmare. So the movie kind of finishes off exactly the same way the first one finished off. Freddy gets defeated, but you're left knowing that Freddy's going to be back, essentially. Like, they've only got rid of him for a certain amount of time before he's going to come back from them. It's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, I did say at the start, I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the first one or some of the ones that came after this one. But again, it really does, to me, feel a little bit out of place in the lineup of movies. I don't know why. It's a genuinely decent Freddy Krueger movie, but for me, it's one that I gladly sat down to watch it again today before I did this podcast. But if I was going through the box set just in the off chance that I fancy watching a Freddy Krueger movie, I don't think this would be one of the ones that I would jump to straight away. It's probably one of the last ones that I would rewatch. But it's definitely worth checking out if you've never seen the Freddy movies, the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Definitely don't jump over it. It has its place in there, but I don't know. Again, it just kind of feels out of place. Is there anything else that I should go into as far as the behind the scenes sort of stuff goes? Released in 1985, directed by Jack Shoulder, written by David Chaskin, stars Mark Patton, Kim Myers, Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, of course, and Robert Lusler. Second installment, Nightmare on Elm Street. The film follows Jesse Walsh, a teenager who begins having recurring nightmares about Freddy Krueger after moving into the former home of Nancy Thompson from the first movie. No, that's pretty much it. It just goes into the budget, 30 million, or made 30 million on a budget of 3 million. So fairly successful. I don't think it was just successful as the first one, but definitely, saying as it's Halloween, I'm not devastated that I sat and watched it again, but I'm actually looking forward to getting through the next couple of movies, which is, where's that box set at? Do we see the exact lineup of how these are going to come out? If okay, Dream Warriors is the next one. That's going to be 2 days from now. The Dream Master, the Dream Child, and the Final Nightmare. Of course, they didn't finish it off with the Final Nightmare. Of course, they're going to keep going with Freddy Krueger movies, and we're going to be doing all of them at some point. So bear with me, guys, as I get over this cold and try and get back into some regular uploads for you guys, because I enjoy doing these, but I'm just having a bit of a hard time actually talking at the moment. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a little bit of a wheeze going on here that I'm trying to hide. If I lean too much and actually speaking, I'll probably just start coughing all over the place. But yes, hopefully it's not the dreaded 2021 virus, but just the flu. But at the moment, it is what it is. I'm just kind of isolating myself at the minute, just in case it is that. But yes, that's the beauty of doing something on the internet. You don't actually need to be around people or even put clothes on. There is an image that you didn't need at the end of this podcast. Guys, stay safe, whatever you're doing, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.